we are talking about the print media, and if indeed the print media is suffering worldwide. I mean, we've seen papers go electronic. If you think about the Mirror in England, if you think about the Sunday Times, people love that tabloid newspaper. A lot of the newspapers are all going, they are electronizing their papers because, of course, these days you wouldn't want to go for the hard copy. You can always access the soft copy on your phones, on your tablets, on your laptops. Okay, but this morning we want to look at how the print media is coping with competition from the internet here in Ghana, and the leading newspaper in Ghana, Daily Graphic, of course, most appropriate. We have its managing director here, Ken Ashigbe. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
All right, but before we talk to Ken, let's look at this story we compiled.
Newspaper sales keep plummeting on the international market, sparking fears of bankruptcy, closures, and severe cutbacks. This plunge is seen in slumping ad sales, soaring newsprint prices, precipitous drop in circulation, and also loss of classified ads. This has generated widespread fears and debate as to whether the newspaper business still has a shelf life, especially as the industry has shed a fifth of its journalists in the US alone since 2001. This loss in revenue is as a result of opportunities offered by internet media, which is gradually squeezing out older print publishers. Some research readily available points to a 39% drop in global print advertising sales, an equivalent of $51 billion between years 2007 and 2013, and annual sale declines pitched between 7% and 12%. This worrying trend, however, shows no signs of slowing, offering instead a $99 billion online advertising opportunity. So what are the prospects for Ghanaian print houses? It's observed that internet-based media is rising sharply in Ghana. From content creation to publishing to distribution and consumption, new media is gradually taking over. Information just goes viral in an instant, considering the class of people who own smartphones, computers, tablets, and other internet-enabled devices. These were or are the same groups of people who buy print media, thus leading to the question, does print media stand a chance against this digital revolution? Are print business owners feeling the pinch of this tech-savvy Ghana? When the New Day team took a chance and visited the Greater Accra Newspaper Distribution and Circulation Center at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, a center that has been operational since 1987, serving all areas within the Greater Accra region, including Tema, Ashaiman, and Kaswa, Stephen Kobna Ekom had these observations to share. He is the chairman of the Greater Accra News Agents and Vendors Association.
Our main problem is a paper review that most of the radio stations and the TV stations are reviewing the papers very early, and it has made our business to collapse. Some years back, GAR used to do this review, but they does it in the afternoon time. So in the morning we could sell our papers and even supply those, but now from 6 a.m. we've seen all the stations are reviewing the papers, and they even went ahead and called those people who are involved in that news to elaborate it more. Now the sales is even low. We are losing over 40% of our sales. The leading paper is Daily Graphic, and the second leading paper is Daily Guide, 4 times. But first, I can sell 200 copies of Graphic, but now even 50 copies is hard for me to sell. I send out 100 papers, and my unsold ones or the returns I'll get is about 40 or 30. At least first, if I send 100 out, if I'll have any returns, it will not be more than 10. But now, this business is collapsing very fast. And now some of the papers too have went ahead on the net, and it is also killing our business. The lowest price of paper that you can get here in these places, 1 cedi 50 pesos. Yeah. Some of them even are trying to increase, but we have asked them to wait a little while so that because of the market is not booming.
This heap of papers here are what they refer to as returns. This term simply means not all papers for the day were sold out.
This place is full of unsold papers. So at times, those who operate this in public toilet, they come to buy them at a low, very cheaper price.
But an old crow at the game, Stephen Kwabna Ekom, has some pointers to rekindle a supposedly dying industry.
We are pleading that if there is anything to do for us, they should shift the newspaper review to at least 10 a.m. in the morning or 11 a.m. so that time we could have said some of our papers can be sold out. But starting early in the morning is killing our job.
Despite this threat posed by new media, Ghana has seen a proliferation of print houses in the last decade, some of which are political party-based, set up to push propaganda and ideology of said parties.
Okay, so like I said, we have the Managing Director of the Graphic Communications Group here. Thanks again for coming through to the studio. Now, let's look at the print media in Ghana. Are you as vibrant as you used to be 15 years ago?
Well, there's been some decline. There's been some, as the chairperson for the Vendors Association said, there's been some decline. We've seen good days, in the past. And if you take a typical example, let's say if you take the Daily Graphic, at least we're able to stem decline in 2012. That's where we saw a little bit of growth, but over the years there's been some decline in the whole industry, the newspaper industry, and it's a global phenomenon. But interestingly, things are beginning to look up, though the changes are very small.
Okay, and you at some point decided to go online. Was it because of the competition the online presented?
Well, I think the interesting thing we need to really look at is if we take the global example from the clip you showed. Yes, online has taken a chunk of the readers, so readers have moved online, and so because of that, if you go globally, newspapers have moved from the print to online. Some have done it wholesale, taking their content and put there. Some have done it and have done a combination of just free and some pay. Some have done and then they've gone fully paid. So there are various models that have been run. But in Ghana, I'm not too sure that our challenge has been new media. Our challenge has been the internet. If you consider the fact that internet penetration is still not that high, mobile penetration has increased. But in our case, what is happening is it's an exploitation of the content.
They left the whole story.
Exactly, and they read from cover to cover. So what then happens is that people then are not, motivated because you've heard everything already. You've heard everything already, and that's what happened. Well, for TV3, you might you still are doing what is expected, but you go to some media, and especially radio, where it's really, really very bad. In Sawam, cross Kaswa, that is worse, as and the effect is not just on the newspaper brands, but there's a big industry there, the vendors and the agents businesses that are also being killed. So and apart from that, there's also a developmental challenge. Reading engages all your faculties. It is not like just listening, or watching. You read. So the effect on the country is not just the newspaper business, but also generally on us as the reading culture is dying. So I think that's been the major thing that has affected the sale.
And have you had a word with the radio stations and the TV stations?
We have. I remember last year we came around, even TV3, we had a conversation. We've gone around the TV stations, the radio stations. We've tried engaging Media Commission. We've tried engaging, but really there's been very little response. And the interesting thing is because a lot of the electronic media are benefiting from it. You find out that for most of these stations,
morning shows especially, it is all the newspaper.
Exactly, and it's sponsored. You know what I mean? They are getting paid for it. So there's a copyright issue in there, where they're exploiting the toils of newspapers and making money out of that, and killing the newspapers, and then in the process also affecting our development, where people.
How do we deal with this problem?
Well, I think it has to be a collaborative thing, because whether print likes it or not, there has to be a relationship between print and electronic. So how do we do it in such a way that all of us live, all of us grow, all of us are able to still provide content to our readers? But definitely there's also a bit that the print media houses have to do. We're talking about all the gloom, but it's not complete gloom. You go into places, typical market like the German market, which is supposed to be a very up market where internet penetration is high, but the newspapers that are still growing, the very serious newspapers that are growing. So there's a space for newspapers. The newspaper would not be sold now on the back of news anymore. It would be sold on the back of analysis. It would be sold on the back of investigations. It would be sold on the back of the day two story. So a story breaks today, radio will report it, TV will report it. But we should bear in mind, now it's not even radio or TV. Before you hear the news, it will be on social media. Exactly. Yeah. So how do you, as print, report it in such a way that I still want to read it? So there's going to be space for the thing that would make print survive, and print is going to survive. I tell the doomsday people that print definitely is going to survive. What is going to happen is that people are going to do their things on social media, radio, TV. Because of currency, you will report
it. But
they'll refer to paper. But you need to provide, there has to be a lot of innovations in print. So you need to provide them the depth and the breadth that they would not get. And then there's a permanency with print. Once that have won. Currently the innovation is happening a lot more in Asia. So that's why the Indians, you find the Times of India, an English paper, selling 18 million copies a day. You know what I mean? But what they have done is to look at their customers, their readers, take their readers as customers. How are they consuming print now? And giving it to them in that particular way. So it's about time that for newspapers, we take what our customers are responding to our competitive media and try and deliver that to them and more. So it's definitely innovation that really is going to make it. Well, the interesting thing you would find out is that after Daily Graphic did its redesign, a few newspapers have copied it.
I've seen Daily Guide, trying,
Well, I'll mention names.
I like the Daily Guide now. I mean, it looks a lot better now. Yeah.
It's good, and at least for that's what has to happen. Because for all of us as an industry, we need to find a way of engaging, our readers. And how are they reading? People are reading differently. Our reading habits are different. The young people of today would not want to read a verbose story, but my mom will still want to read a long article. So how do you find space for all of them in our newspapers? And how are we distributing our papers? How are we selling our papers? All of those things have to change. And for a very long time, newspapers have been we've looked at quality from the point of the editor. Okay, this is what we know as quality journalism, so that's what we print. But we now need to be putting a lot of insight into the work we do. What is the reader looking for? What does the reader not even know that he's looking for that he would want? So that once you're able to satisfy those wants and wishes, you are then able to sell. But we can also run away from technology. So it's important that there's a marriage between new media and also print. So how do we take them from print to new media and back from new media back to print?
Are you doing this?
That's basically a strategy that we're doing, So you find out that even with the QR codes, it is sometimes it is not the same thing that you read that you get in the QR code. So there's a story that has been told. You go to an event, there's a story told, but there's additional information. So most of the QR codes that you see, most of the quick reads, there's a fact sheet.
I must say the fact sheets that you've introduced is perfect.
Exactly.
I mean,
Those are other things about the story that's you want to tell, you cannot tell in your story. So all of those new elements, it's basically looking at our readers and saying what it is that they want. People are busy, so they want to quickly scan through the paper. So you have the page 2, you know what I mean? So you quickly take it, and it gives you a bird's eye view of what's in the paper. You can read it, come back, so leave it, come back again and read it. So there's a lot of innovations that we need to bring into our work.
Definitely. And are you making profit?
Oh, well, the graphic has been making profits. You know what I mean? We pay dividends every year, so at least that's a mark that you can see. And I think it's at the back of the fact that the culture in graphic, when it was set up by Cecil King, was to be a business. So constantly we look at the business as a business, and running it in that particular vein has been the thing that has pushed it. But it's difficult. Our margins are under a lot of pressure because the thing that has happened globally is the fact that because print is shrinking, a lot of the paper mills are closing because they want to match supply and demand. So instead of a glut in the supply of paper, it's coming newsprint, it's coming down. So the cost of newsprint is going up. Utility bills are going up. We distribute, you need to drive around the whole of Ghana, fly your papers to the north and all of that. The costs are going up. So our margins are being pushed down. But we need to find new ways, to be able to survive. It's interesting that the Tide in Germany, to survive, their brand that is growing, they are growing their circulation. They do different things. They even sell tea. They sell towels. So they find ways of taking the quality that is associated with the brand and extending it several ways. Because you think, what would a newspaper be selling tea, selling towels for? But they sell the Thai towel, because there's association between the brand and other things that you do. Exactly. Yeah. Right, so that's basically what's going to happen. So you find out that we do the events. BNFT also does the events, because it's
congratulations on your recent one. Anyway.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So basically you need to do other things. Like for graphic, currently we send papers throughout the country. The vehicles go full, come back empty. So we've converted the vehicles into a courier service. So can you make some money out of that, take the money and still be able to? It's the reason why we've not increased our prices, because we realize that
still 2 cedis.
Exactly, because you see that's a major thing in Ghana. 2 cedis is just about less than $1. But 2 cedis can buy somebody a whole meal. And you're asking the person to come spend that on newspaper. So the purchasing power in Ghana is also a major problem. In India, they are selling newspapers at 20 pesos, and these are 96-page papers, and we are selling, some of our friends, 16-page, we're selling it for 2 cedis. So that's another thing. But it's not the fault of the newspaper producers in Ghana. It's a cost of doing business. All our print newsprints are imported and all of that. So there's a bit of challenge that the newspaper industry in Ghana is facing that we need to work at. Another interesting thing is the duties that we pay on paper. Okay.
How do you get somebody like me to patronize the Mirror and the other papers in your company? Because it's very difficult. Apart from the Daily Guide, the Daily Graphic, it's so difficult for me to pick up any other newspaper and read. Sometimes I try the Showbiz once in a while, but it's really difficult for me, apart from the Daily Graphic. Okay.
Well, you see, the interesting thing now is that you're a news buff. You are kind of first person. If you really see it, you're made. Daily Graphic is made for you. You love sports. You get your sports in there. There's a bit of fashion in there. Your news and current affairs is in there. So for us to be able to get you to pick any of the other papers, not only not only the graphic brands, but any of the brands, we need to serve you something that you want. There should be something in there that you're looking for. So that's why research is really going to be critical for newspapers to be able to survive. What is it that Namba wants to see? What is it that you want to read? We need to find that out and put that into the paper. Right. And then in the times where, we're past the times when newspapers thought that the papers, letting people know that the papers are available. That's another thing that we don't, as an industry, we've not been doing too well, because in the past, we're a newspaper, we're there, And it's not only a newspaper thing, it's a media thing. TV stations didn't used to do billboards and all of that. But
we're getting competition from new media.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Ken Ashibe, Managing Director, Graphic Communications Group. And I must say that I love the Daily Graphic.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I will do that. Also, we had a chit-chat with Daily Guide, and that interview is coming up now. Thank you very much.
Okay, so
talent facing the industry, not necessarily the social media or the internet. I'm not saying they shouldn't review. I mean, newspaper review is done everywhere, but you shouldn't read cover to cover. You should not be the center of your morning show, that it is you feed on it without paying any royalty. Some of the smaller newspapers also believe that that is the only platform they also have for them to be heard. I'm into business of making money. Yes. I'm into business of selling news. I'm not into business of maligning people. I want to sell news to the reading public. So in this way, I won't say it's dying, because day in, day out, more papers are coming out.